Here on what for us is a hot day. It is up to 80 degrees. I have friends and family who live in Arizona, and they would say it is down to 80 degrees, but here in the Pacific Northwest it is up to 80 degrees and it is cooking out. To talk to you about the audiobook, The 5 Temptations of a CEO, written by a gentleman whose first name is Patrick and last name I'm not going to attempt to pronounce because I know I will muck it up. Apologize for that. This book is a short book. It is a leadership fable, and it is one of the best leadership fables I have ever listened to. Before I get started on that, though, if you love audiobooks, or even books in general, subscribe to my channel. Do me that favor. Turn on notifications. Join me in my audiobook journey. Now to the book. The reason I say that this is one of the best leadership fables that I have ever listened to is not because it has some grand, groundbreaking theories. In fact, the book makes that very clear, that the job of a CEO, while it is not easy, is simple in avoiding these temptations. The temptations aren't anything major. However, the temptations are things that most people struggle with. I haven't always been a truck driver. I used to manage restaurants, and there are temptations in there that, looking back at my time as a restaurant manager, I definitely struggled with that. One of the temptations is to be focusing on the milestones in your career instead of the good of the company. That wasn't really one that I struggled with. But the second temptation, to avoid holding people accountable because you want to be liked, was definitely one that I struggled with. One that I struggled with. Another reason that I say it's one of the best leadership fables is the way they're presented. For instance, the one about struggling to hold people accountable because you want them to like you. You have this young man, Andy, who's a CEO of a company, and his company's not doing so hot, and he's got a review with the board the next day. He decides to go home, realizes the freeway is shut down, so he takes BART. I've lived in the Bay Area. I know what BART is. Anyone who's lived in the Bay Area knows BART. Bay Area Rapid Transportation. There's going to be a truck going by. Hopefully it won't muck up the sound here. He gets onto the train, and he meets a janitor. And the janitor talks to him about the 5 temptations of a CEO. Partway through the conversation, he introduces him to 3 other CEOs. And they go through. Well, in their discussion, they do an excellent job of clarifying what is meant. For instance, to go back to the point I started to make there, the second temptation, not having a problem holding people accountable because you want them to like you. Andy states very clearly, I don't have a problem with that one. In fact, I just fired someone the other day. Well, then the janitor, Charlie, starts questioning him. And as Charlie's questioning him, he realizes that he was actually unfair. I believe the person he fired's name was Mike. He was actually very unfair to Mike because he never held Mike accountable. He made excuses for not holding Mike accountable until it came time to fire Mike. And the firing actually caught the guy by surprise. He cried the whole 9 yards. He didn't see it coming. If Andy had been doing a good job of holding him accountable, he would have seen it coming. He would have known what was going on and not been caught by surprise. And it does a really good job, and it does that with all of them, a really good job of explaining, we don't mean this, we mean this. This doesn't count. Really clarifying and breaking everything down. Another reason I say it is one of the best is because it's so engaging and easy to listen to. They don't beat the points to death. They don't drag them out and go over them and over them and over them until you're like, please, just shut up already. It's a short book. I think it's about 2 hours, something like that. I'll look it up, but I think it's about a 2-hour book. Very short book. They clarify. They don't beat them to death. The story itself is engaging. It doesn't sound like it would be very engaging. This guy sitting on a BART train having a conversation with a couple other guys. but it actually is engaging. The time flies when you're listening to it. All of a sudden you're at the end and you're like, wow, really? That's the end. Yet you're constantly thinking. It's got you constantly going, what do I? What's, okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. Oh, well, yeah, it's like that. The author narrates the book himself. And he sounds like a professional narrator. He does a great job of narrating the book. I didn't realize the author was a narrator until I went back to look, okay, oh, the author's a narrator. Cool, good job. Patrick, whose last name I will not pronounce. There is a foreword and an afterword to the book, both from the author, and then there's a nice, probably about 10-15 minute summary at the very end of the book, which is really good because you can listen to the entire book, and then when you reach that summary, and it'll tell you summary points of the book or something like that, you stop it. You let the book kind of seep in and ingest, and you think about it. And then you come back the next day or a couple hours later, maybe you listen to this on the way into work, and then you listen to the summary on the way home, and it refreshes, it brings everything light. The temptations are nothing new. They're nothing that have not been addressed time and time again in other books. However, they are the sorts of things that you need to be constantly reminded of. They're almost character flaws in us. And because they're almost character flaws, it's not an easy fight to overcome them. Once you recognize, okay, I battle holding people accountable because I want them to like me, it's not good enough to just go, okay, I'm aware of that, now I'm just going to fix it. It's going to be a long-term battle to fix it. And they don't. At the end of the book, Andy doesn't have just, wake up, problem solved, everything good. I'm not going to tell you how the book ends, but that's not how it ends for Andy, because that wouldn't be how it would be with any of these problems in real life. And because it's a short book, and because it's easy to listen to, you can come back to it time and time again to remind yourself, I want to work on that. I want to work on that. And each time you come back, you'll probably catch something new where you go, wow, I missed that all those other times. I should add that one to my list. And there's no mature content whatsoever on the audiobook. If you like my video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, subscribe. Turn on notifications. But most importantly, no matter what else you do today, make sure that today you listen to at least one really good audiobook. And I highly recommend The 5 Temptations of a CEO. Thank you.